Hey folks, this is Best in Slot. Welcome to today's coverage of the brand new Secret Species Pack for Jurassic World Evolution 2, bringing 3 returning hybrids from the first game, and of course the brand new Spinoceratops from Camp Cretaceous, and that's what we're going to take a look at in today's video. Let's get started.
Now, this is something a little different. A Spinoceratops. Here we have a hybrid that's more than happy living in colder climates, but I'm still counting on you to give it a warm welcome, huh?
So, Spinoceratops from Camp Cretaceous has finally made it into the game, meaning we're only missing one Camp Cretaceous species, and that's Smilodon, so it seems somewhat less likely. Now, before we talk too much about this, I'm just going to release another couple. So you can see here we've got, this is, I believe, the Lux skin over here. We'll see that at nighttime in a little bit. This is the unpatterned version, and then over here we've got the Frontier sort of regular pattern. It's very, very colourful, very, very evocative. Now you'll notice none of those skins resemble the ones from Camp Cretaceous. There's 2 different Spinoceratopses in Camp Cretaceous, and actually both of them have a slightly different skin, and both of them are included as part of this pack, which is pretty cool. So we're going to release those now, and then we'll do everything else. So, to say the least, it's not a humongous difference between the two. One's a little bit darker, a little bit more sort of purplish and deeper blues in its coloration. But you know what, if you're a big fan of the show, I'm sure you'll appreciate that little attention to detail. And we can go ahead and check this. So this is Rebel, and I think this is Angel. Yes, this is Angel. You see, they've got this very nice, quite faint striping there across the sail. It's a little bit more prominent here on Rebel. And it's got the little sort of dappling of darker scales along there you would expect. And, you know, if you wanted to see a grown-up version of the one from the show, here you go, basically. So we can compare this with the one from the show. Now that's a little bit more difficult here just because there isn't an adult Spinoceratops in Camp Cretaceous, but you can see how Frontier have tried to age it up appropriately. Most of the key features are there. You've got the hole in the frill, the bones and the spikes jutting out of the frill are the same in the adult and the child, but there's a few different little tweaks here to sort of grow it up a little bit more. Of course, it's much bulkier, much thicker in general, and you can see with the sail in particular, we've got those sort of bony protrusions which aren't there in the juvenile version, which again just give it a little bit more intrigue and make the body a little bit more interesting. I actually really like the sail, the way that it kind of swoops down here in one beautiful sort of swooping line. I'm going to say swooping a lot today. You know, a lot of sails, they'll kind of jut out here and jut out here. You can see how it juts out here on the left, but this is just one long curve that goes right down the tail, which looks really nice. They've also got, if we come a little bit closer, you can see they've got the red eyes as well, just like the ones from the show. Though, of course, these are a lot smaller. Babies always have gigantic eyes. So that is Spinoceratops. Let's check it out in the hatchery and have a look at some statistics. Everyone loves statistics. So Spinoceratops appeal 237, again really, really high. You're going to see this with the hybrids all day today. Their appeal to money ratio is really good. You know, Spinoceratops appeal 237, price 135. Sinoceratops appeal 110, so less than half, but it's actually $5,000 more. I think these are going to be really effective. Synthesized batch size of 2 to 3 and 275,000 incubation cost. And we can have a look at its needs. There you go. And the exciting bit is actually right here. So it needs ground fiber. You know, it's a omnivorous creature, but it also needs fish. So because it's got that Spinosaurus DNA in there, they've allowed it to eat from the fish feeder, which is something I'm really excited about. I think that's going to look really cool. Really interesting to have. It's a hybrid, but it's more so a ceratopsid, you know, and really interesting to have a ceratopsid feeding from a fish feeder like that. Quite a few dislikes and likes, and then we can hop into our stats. You see base dominance 129, not particularly high, but a little bit higher, 39 higher than the Spinoceratops. Right, let's check out some animations. There we go. Ceratopsid feeding from a fish feeder. How unusual. It kind of does what the other piscivorous creatures do in that it kind of sits there with its mouth sort of in the water, right by the water, ready to snap. But actually moves really slowly. It doesn't snap down really quickly. It moves in a much more sort of ponderous manner, which, you know, I guess is quite appropriate for a creature like this. It's kind of adorable. You can see the animation plays out slightly differently as well. It doesn't, there's two different sort of slight variants on it. That one we've got the raw, letting the fish know it's there and it means business, you know, which is very important. It's funny, I'm trying to decide if I like it or not. I don't know. I'm not coming at this from the perspective as someone who loves Camp Cretaceous or anything. You know, wasn't the biggest fan of the show, so I'm coming at this just as someone trying to enjoy the dinosaur. For me, it's maybe a little bit too much like it's a Spinoceratops, except it happens to have a sail. You know, you don't see any Spinosaurus anywhere else. I guess the eyes are meant to kind of signify that, and some extra spiky bits to kind of make it feel a little bit more aggressive. I mean, I don't hate it. I'll say that much. It's like a bizarre... It just feels like a weird, speculative, slightly weird creature. I don't really know what else to add to that. It's odd looking. I'm not sure how much it fits into the world for me, but I do think Frontier have done a good job of taking it from that very, very cartoony looking juvenile into, as best they could, a Jurassic World Evolution 2 looking dinosaur, and I cannot imagine that was an easy task, to say the least. I can't decide how I feel about it quite yet. I'm gonna have to spend a little bit of time with it, you know? Got a bit of the regular feeding there as well. They're going to need both that ground leaf, ground fibre, whichever it was, and your fish in order to be happy and to thrive. Well said, buddy. And we can see them all sit down together. I really like this one on the left. I think that's beautiful. I think that sort of light brown goes really nicely with the evocative, colourful patterning. And a little bit of a horny tussle there for the social animation, which I will of course get for you again, and hopefully showcase a little bit better. A little bit better detail there on the social animation. Just feels like a little bit of play fighting, basically. The one on the right comes in, tries to hook this one underneath that gigantic front nasal horn, really the only horn they've got, of course. Tries to hook it under, and that one's kind of, you can feel it almost pushing its weight down, pushing the heft of that massive skull down to push it back. A little tussle, a little vying for dominance, a little vying for love, who knows? And, you know, obviously that took it out of them. They're very tired now after that 2 seconds of wrestling. We've all been there. A bit of a drinking animation there with that loose tongue at the end. Hello, buddy. Slight, low, rumbling, snoring noises. having a little siesta together. So as mentioned, we'll hop into the species viewer at the end and go through all the skins in a little bit more detail, but what we can do right here is really see that transition from looks in the daytime to looks at nighttime. So this is the daytime one, and there's the nighttime looks, and I've got to say, having done most of the videos by now, this is my favourite of the looks variants. I don't care about the looks that much, generally speaking, but this one is so colourful, so bright, so vibrant that it's really worth using. I mean, you can see it from miles away. It fills the entirety of that sail back there, even drooping a little bit down onto the tail with these stripes and a little bit across the body. We've also got this really cool little pattern over here on the skull and on the frill as well. Looks kind of like one of those ink blot kind of test sort of things. And of course, we can do a pretty cool transition to see the difference between the daytime and the nighttime. So let's do that. Right, with all that done, with all the little animations seen, etc., it's time to check this thing out in combat. So we're just going to throw it against itself a little bit, see our ceratopsid combat, and we'll see if it's got anything special when it comes to handling, you know, small, medium, and large carnivores. If I'm honest, I'm expecting not, just because it's a ceratopsid, and unlike, say, the Stegoceratops, which has got the Thagomizer, or the Ankylodocus, which has the club, you know, their variants that mix things up in that way, the Spinoceratops doesn't really have anything other than the original horn, which, you know, is kind of what all ceratopsids use anyway. But we'll test it out just to be thorough, and then we'll check out the species viewer in a little bit. And there we go, it has already kicked off. We've got our JP3 female Velociraptors jumping all over our Spinoceratops. It's holding its own pretty well so far, but I think it's going to go down pretty soon. Bonk. There we go. There's nothing special to say about that one. Kind of got obliterated. The Spinoceratops, unlike some of the others, doesn't really have any increased defense, isn't particularly tough in battle. Felt appropriate to bring another Camp Cretaceous dinosaur in, so we've got Toro the Carnotaurus in here facing off against our Spinoceratops, which seems to attack in the usual way, as you would probably expect if we're honest, but worth a shot, right? And Toro goes down in 2 hits, so just regular stabbings. Don't take too much for the damage stats and stuff like that. I nerfed Toro pretty bloody hard, but I just want to see if there's anything new attack wise, and it doesn't look like it. Sticking with that same philosophy though, how about something a little bit bigger? Also returning from Camp Cretaceous, we have our Tarbosaurus. Charged in like a bloody... I've got to say, by the way, the Spinoceratops, it's fairly huge. I'll do a size comparison in a second with the Sinoceratops to see if it is the same size but with a frill, but it definitely looks chunkier and bigger, and you can see, you know, I've sort of lamented the lack of Spinosaurus, but I think in the aggression of the skull shape here around the eyes and around here, you can kind of see a little bit of that slightly sleeker, longer, more crocodilian looking skull that you'd get with a Spinosaurus. I'm not going to say there's too much of it, but it definitely looks more aggressive, to say the least. It's an angry looking ceratopsid, which I really like. Hit there by the Tarbo. I always find these fights really annoying because I have to keep rotating around. It's always so jumpy with the mouse. Spino with a powerful horn there underneath the neck, and the Tarbo goes down. And just for sake of comparison, we've got a Sinoceratops and a Spinoceratops, and as you can see, there is actually quite a big difference. So again, you could say this is maybe that Spinosaurus DNA coming in there and increasing the size of the dinosaur, because it is substantially bigger, and we can actually point out the other differences between the two. So you can see here the skull bit here is more pointed back on the Spino, as we often called it, compared to the Spinoceratops. The horns here, the bones jutting out across the frill, have been toned down a little bit. The crest is obviously a little bit bigger, a little bit more further forward. Of course, we've got the sail. The body is thicker, you know, you can see more sort of fat on there and stuff like that compared to the fairly shrink-wrapped sort of ribs we've got here on the Spinoceratops. I think a lot of that is just Frontiers changing the design philosophy over time. You can see it with the legs as well, whereas this is lots of wrinkles and folds and stuff like that. This is more boomph, you know, I don't know how else to put it. It's more boomph. Now, there's only one more thing I want to test out. Every now and again, you'll have noticed this with other creatures. They can share a feeder. There's like a special little animation that plays when they're at the feeder together, and it's often at meat feeders or the fish feeders. You know, you don't really see it with the herbivores traditionally, but of course, here we have a piscivorous herbivore, essentially. So I'm going to try to force that to happen. Okay, so I'm just gonna move over here. It's a bit of a it's a bit of a feeding frenzy, but you can see this is the animation that plays out. One of them comes up and actually steps up onto the fish feeder, like so. I haven't really ever done any research onto this. I'd love to see all these animations. It's something I need to make sure I keep an eye on. This one comes up and it steps up onto the feeder, and I think this one over here is going to be slightly perturbed by this. Yeah, they get a little raw, a little call, a little bit of, you know, just back off, you know. We're all here to eat the fish. Oh, we're going. Yeah, it nearly gets hit in the face by that one, so it then backs off down off the feeder. Lovely little bonus animation. Definitely something worth keeping an eye on when you're looking for new animations and stuff like that. I haven't recorded the Spinoraptor yet, but I'll be sure to do that for the Spinoraptor as well, and hopefully see more of these collaborative feeding animations, which weren't a thing in the first game. These are a new addition for Evolution 2. With that done, it is time to check out our Spinoceratops in the species viewer and check out these skins in a little bit more detail, because they look pretty blimmin' incredible. So let's take a look at the skin colours and patterns for the Spinoceratops. We've got the Sonoran Desert, I really like that one actually. The Death Valley, Great Sandy Desert, Champlain Valley with that little burst of pink there on the spine. The Salar del Huesco, very green. Limpopo River, Killian Mountains, Yukon River, Svalbard, like that one. Amazon Rainforest, lovely. This is like something out of Avatar. You could see that in Avatar, couldn't you? Just as is. That's pretty cool. We've got Mangrove Forest, beautiful as well, same idea. Gambia River Basin, which I really like. And then, of course, we've also got Rebel and Angel. You see between them, not that much different, but you can see it's a bit more subtle on the patterning in general. It's more like a stripe across the sail rather than the, well, this one has sort of each individual bone is kind of highlighted a little bit, whereas these ones have more stripe going across the whole thing. I've got these dappling of darker blue colours as well. And the beak and stuff looks a little bit more prominent because of the coloration. Let's pick one. Gotta pick a fairly chill one, otherwise you're not going to see any of the bloody colours. I mean, there's not that many chill ones, they're quite over the top. I think that is beautiful. Let's go with Svalbard for now, just to highlight the patterns a little bit better. Got Rana again. Yeah, that is, I mean, that's pretty awesome. You know, just by giving the sail so much colour, they've really sort of made it grow on me a lot more than it had done. I think that's really awesome looking. We've got Calcarana with the greens, Lithobates with the blacks and reds, Pulcrana, lots of colour there, greens and purples, and oh boy, Papyrana. That's my new favourite. That is a lovely combination. It's almost gold. And gold and black is, you know, quintessential awesome, basically. And then Lux as well, which is obviously very bright and very shiny. Love that one. That makes me very happy. But we can try that out with maybe the Mangrove Forest. That's pretty sweet. And maybe throw in, I mean, if you want to go a little bit crazy with your colours, that's definitely something you can do as well. It's a really nice dinosaur for like just mixes of something that feels very colourful, very decorative, but also quite naturalistic, if you ignore the sail, and then things that are obviously very, very over the top. I think that is beautiful. If we can't, there we go. So again, yeah, very bright, very vibrant. You're going to see that from absolutely miles away. Yeah, and let's check out some animations. So this is the sort of idle preening sort of animation, just sort of nuzzling the floor. Nothing particularly original there. We've got a little walk, a little bounding run. Looks so happy with itself. Very flat head, I've just realised. Got the idle resting animation. Doesn't do much during it, seemingly. I'm gonna do anything? I don't think so. So it doesn't roll around on its side or anything like a lot of the other medium herbivores do, assumedly because of the sail. Although, interestingly enough, the Spinoceratops with those massive plates does roll around on the ground. And then we've got the... well, no, this would be the rolling around animation, right? Let's see what it does. No. It's kind of like has a little nuzzle. I'm being swayed. I don't think any of the animations are, you know, but there's an okay social animation. It's decent, and there's not really much else to talk about in that regard. But this is convincing me right here. I don't know how I feel. I'm umming and ahhing on this one a little bit, but you know, it's a whole new dinosaur. It's original at the very least, and it's a big, chunky new ceratopsid, which is something I like at the very least. If you're a big Camp Cretaceous fan, I'm sure you'll be very happy with this, given we got both of those Camp Cretaceous skins as well. And if not, the whole pack's probably not your kettle of fish, really. So, who knows? Either way, thank you so much for joining me. Let me know what you think about Spinoceratops in the comment section down below. Throw me a like if you enjoyed the video, and I will see you lovely folks very, very soon. Thanks for joining me. Cheers much as always. Bye-bye.